And we're live.
Hey,
Caught in action pouring whiskey.
cheers, my friend.
Cheers.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for doing the podcast.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Your story I came across. I don't know how I came across it, but I thought, man, that's an inspiring story. I need to have him on. So
Thank you.
sorry.
No, that's cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
Jeez. All right. So yeah, I came across your story. You had lost over 300 pounds, which is insane. What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, it's still something that I'm trying to process every single day. Losing that much weight, I've lost a bit of myself, I feel like, and so I'm
Quite literally.
literally, um, it's an out of body experience, where things are changing. I'm watching it change, and it was such a quick process that like my brain hasn't had a chance to catch up, and I'm still playing catch up like day to day. And and it's come with some other issues. And I was just telling you a minute ago, like I don't have the body aches or the pains or taking the meds that I used to take, but now I'm dealing with like the root of the issue, which was my mental health the whole time. And so it's a whole new life, literally, where I'm just trying to get day to day, uh, the best way I possibly can, get through it and be happy and enjoy this new life without getting in my way too much,
Mm.
because there's so many things I want to do and I still want to be so much better. I'm not fixed. I've got a tool that allowed me to lose a bunch of weight so I can be here and I can be alive. And now I'm trying to manage that tool every day.
I think the thing is, for a lot of people, that we always have this idea of like we have this destination where we want to be, but we don't learn to enjoy the process of getting to that destination, because you're never quite at that destination, right?
Yeah.
Like you were just telling me you suffer from like body dysmorphia.
Mhm.
And I could imagine that you have this image in your mind of like where you should be.
Yeah.
But like, will you ever get there?
I don't know. And I don't know if I should be striving for that. Like I should be content. I should be happy. The doctors told me that if I didn't take my weight seriously, that I wouldn't live another 2 years. And so
That's crazy.
that was pretty heavy. And so, and I was pretty heavy. So, at 464, I was probably a little bit more than 464 pounds. 464 is my highest like official weigh in. My wife and I feel like I was probably pushing like 480 maybe.
Whoa.
And to hear that my days were numbered, that my years were numbered, it was a wake up call, and I needed to do something about that. And so I set the goal to lose the weight to hit 199 pounds on the scale. That was my goal. And then I hit it, and then I kept losing weight and kept losing weight. And it was like, whoa, is this like going to end? Do I have a whole nother, issue here where I'm not going to be able to like keep weight or gain weight? But that has stopped. I'm definitely gaining weight and I'm able to maintain my weight. Over the holidays, I did gain some weight. And so that's really cool. Like I've got this tool. I had bariatric surgery at Sparrow, and it's a tool, and it's something that I can use to maintain this lifestyle and strive for what the next goal is. I know I'm going to be here, God willing. I'm still, my days aren't numbered by that factor anymore. Now it's, some other factors, mental health and stuff like that. But
how long ago did you have the surgery?
so I had the surgery in 2021.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how quickly did you lose the weight, and how I guess how quickly did you lose that weight?
Yeah. So I hit my goal of 199 maybe, I think within that first year.
Wow.
I think I was able to lose it. Well, so okay, back up a little bit more. 464 was my official like highest weigh in, and then I lost 120 pounds before my surgery. Diet and exercise. Just I cut my portions in half. If we went out, I'd literally, ask for the box right off, right when the waitress brings me my food. I'm like, I'll take the box, and I'll cut the food in half, put the, the half of the burger or whatever it was in the box, and I would cut my portions in half. And then I started drinking a lot of water. I knew because of the research that I'd done about bariatric surgery, I'm going to have to learn how to eat smaller portions. I'm going to learn how to drink a lot of water. And that's why I always have a cup with me and I'm always drinking water. Um, and I knew I wanted to set myself up for success. And so I was able to lose 120 pounds before my surgery just by walking, cutting my portions, and drinking lots of water.
What was it like before that? Before you decided to have bariatric surgery? What was it like? What was your portions like? What were you indulging incredibly? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, I wasn't like a huge eater. I feel like, lots of people who are that weight could eat like a whole pizza or something, or multiple burgers, or lots and lots of food, and that and I think that's like a very um broad generalization of fat people. You know what I mean? They
Right.
just eat a lot.
Just
And
stuff in
so
their face.
I wasn't actually like that. I could definitely eat more than I can now. But I couldn't eat a whole pie. Maybe three quarters of one or something like that. It was still quite a bit, 6, 7 slices. Um, or
So
4 slices and like 2 pieces of breadstick or something like that, you know what I mean? But it was like, and it was even it wasn't just my portions, it was the quality of the food that I was eating too. It was lots of junk food, and ice cream. Oh my God, I could devour ice cream. I loved ice cream, and I still do. I had some the other day, and I can still have these things, but it's like all things in moderation. It's a mindset. If I want to remain healthy, I gotta, so that's what it was like back then. But I was miserable. I was eating for all the wrong reasons. I wasn't eating because I enjoyed the food. I was eating because I was trying to medicate.
now you had mentioned that in order to have the surgery, you were able to lose 130 pounds, 120 pounds,
I needed to lose 20 before my
20.
surgery.
Okay.
The process took about 9 months for me to get the actual surgery from start to finish. Typically it takes about 6 months. Well, through my insurance, it was a 6-month period. It was supposed to be a 6-month period. It turned into a 9-month period. And I wanted to see how much weight I could lose. I didn't set any goals. I just wanted to see how much weight I could lose by setting myself up for what's going to be my new life. So I lost 100 pounds, and then I started my liquid diet 2 weeks post or pre-op.
Oof.
And they wanted to see 20 pounds lost, but even my surgeon was like, "Well, if you don't hit that, that's okay because you've already lost 100." But I actually lost exactly 20 in 2 weeks
Wow.
on the liquid diet, and then had my surgery. So I
So
was 344 when I had my surgery.
wow.
Yeah.
So do you think that if you had kept doing that and just hadn't had the surgery, that you could have kept that motivation and dedication up?
That's a really good question, and that's a question I get a lot because, um, yeah, like why? Why did I have to get cut open and have this surgery? And for me, it was like because I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust myself enough. Yes, I'd already. This is actually the second time that I'd lost a major amount of weight, and I could have
Wow.
done it, but at the end of the day, I wasn't mentally healthy, and I'm still not super mentally. I'd like my journey is every day,
Yeah.
um, and so if something terrible were to happen in my life, I wanted to know that I had the right tool in my life that's going to help me to not almost kill myself with food because it was an addiction and it still is an addiction and it's something that I fight. I'm in recovery, and when you are recovering from anything, your recovery is the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So whether it's alcohol, whether it's drugs, you are always going to be in recovery for the rest of your life. And so I wanted to set myself up for success in the long game. And so I still went through with the surgery because I know I'm going to be losing loved ones in my life at some point. And that's ultimately why I started to overeat. Back in 2015, my aunt had passed away. She was 46 years old. She had a massive heart attack. Nobody saw it coming. And it wrecked me because she was like my hero. And watching her fall, it was like, man, I don't stand a chance in this world. I don't, like if she's, if this planet's going to take her out, I give up. And that's exactly what I did. So I started eating, and then and I got to the point where I was eating because I wanted to die. I just wanted to end it all. And I was I had suicidal ideation, but it's like it was just a matter of time. And then when it got really real is when the doctor said, "You got 2 years." And I had gotten COVID and I got really sick. And that was right when COVID came out. And I was like, oh, too close to
Mm,
death's door. I got to do something different.
yeah.
And I've got kids, and I got a wife, and I love my wife and kids, and I want to be here for them. And it got really real. And I was like, all right, I got to do something. So
That's an important thing that you brought up, that you're in recovery, and most people don't think about it, like, when you have a food addiction, that you need to be in active recovery for it. Do you do anything to mitigate it or manage it? Do you go to, like, some sort of rehab or
I don't. I've got a really strong bariatric community. I've got good friends. I've got good family. I've got good support at home. My wife, my kids. I've just got a lot of really good support. I've surrounded myself with really amazing people, and especially my podcast. I host a podcast as well, and if I'm struggling, I know I can reach out to Rob and Shay, and we're very brutally behind the scenes. I don't think any of our viewers would know the conversations that we've had behind the scenes, because like we are really there for each other, like brother and sister, and we have a lot of these conversations, a lot of these talks, and so I've got a lot of really good support. So if you're not a part of a program or a group, absolutely get into one, and or surround yourself with just great people that are going to support you and help you out. Because support is, at the end of the day, support is support,
right.
and
Yeah,
you got to get it. You got to
yeah.
have support.
Yeah, I've had, quite a few people on who were addicts for different things, like drugs, alcohol, whatever, and that's the one thing that they talk about, is having the support, having some sort of group to kind of fall back on.
Yeah.
Um, Now, where did the podcast come about? When did you start that?
So we started that, I think. Well, we're going into our third season. So Wednesday night at 9 will be our first episode of season 3. Rob and I started the podcast. So 2022. It was like halfway through the year, though. It was like August-ish. He had reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about starting this podcast." And I was like, "No way. I was thinking about starting this podcast too." And he is one of the guys that he's really like the main guy that when after I had bariatric surgery, I didn't have a support system. I was on Facebook, wasn't getting a whole lot of support from the Facebook groups. I got on Instagram. My wife said, "Get on Instagram or TikTok and try to find groups on there." And so I jumped into this men's live group, and I met Rob, and his story was almost exactly the same as my story, but he was a year ahead of me. And so I'm asking him questions, and we built this relationship, and we were talking almost every day, and we're talking about anything. We say that we talked about poop was our first conversation, because in the bariatric community, that is actually a very important topic. You got to keep the body flowing, and it's hard to do when you're supposed to take in X amount of protein, and anyways. I won't turn your podcast into my podcast. That's what we talk
You can talk
about.
about whatever.
That's what we talk about all the time. No, but Rob and I just we hit it off, and then it was about a year later, maybe 8-9 months later, he was like, "Hey, we should start a podcast." So we started this podcast in hopes of reaching men in the bariatric community, because men only make up 20% of the bariatric community.
Why is that?
So we don't know. I mean, we don't know if that number is even accurate. This is what we know is statistically, um, that out of all the people on the planet that have had bariatric surgery, only 20% of them are made of, and that's what the polls are showing. We don't know if that's how, if that's been proven like through this organization, or I don't even know where I read that number. And we've all read that number. We all just kind of know that in the community as the men are the 20%.
Is it just because most men don't have the surgery?
But is it because most men don't have the surgery, or is it because most men don't share about their surgery or their weight loss? And so we wanted to normalize men talking about their issues and their problems, their weight gain and loss, and share their emotions and share their feelings, because I think a lot of guys are very closed off to sharing how they feel about things. And so Rob and I, we felt like this is important for the bariatric community, for the men to have a place to come and share their stories. And so we did that for a while, and then we realized the majority of our followers were female. they're asking questions about PCOS and pregnancy and periods and like all these things that we know nothing about. And so we were like, I think we need to bring a female in. And so we brought in Shay a year ago. And then the podcast just took off. Not saying that, Shay's, if she's watching, I love you, Shay. But she wasn't like the she didn't I think the culmination of the three of us, it was just the missing piece. It was her coming onto the show just helped us to be a better show. And when you surround yourself with the right people, it clicks. And so yeah, so this past year for the podcast has been amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what is the format like? Is it an interview style, or do you guys cover specific topics? Do people write in and ask you to talk about certain subjects? How does that work?
So yeah, I mean, we meet with anybody and everybody for the most part. We want to provide, you know, people that we feel are going to be beneficial for the bariatric community, stories that are going to be beneficial, or dietitians, or marathon runners, or anybody that's inspiring but also very knowledgeable in their field and their craft. And so we want to bring them in and pick their brains. And so when you join us live, you can ask questions and we answer the questions in real time, and you can ask our guest. And it's just, it's just the squares, because Rob is in Canada,
Wow.
Shay is in Washington, and I'm here in Lansing. So it's just, it's just the three squares, and then we bring on the fourth square, and then sometimes we do more. We had an all men's panel, and I think there were like 9 or 10 of us on there.
Wow.
And yeah. And so with StreamYard, you can do up to 10, I think. And
Yeah.
so we packed it out and did a men's only group, and it's a lot of fun, and we just like to have fun. And it's not like super structured. We just come with questions. We try to come up with questions that we want to ask in case the viewers aren't asking questions. We don't
Right.
want any downtime. But it usually just flows, and we just have a good time, and we laugh, and we got a lot of inside jokes, coming out of these things, and it's just a lot of fun.
That's cool. That's the best thing about podcasts, is that you can literally just talk about whatever and just have a good time. You can
Yeah.
sit here and drink a glass of whiskey and
Yeah.
just chill.
It's good whiskey too.
Yeah, it's American honey,
Oh yeah. Okay.
wild turkey.
Yes.
Yeah,
Good
I love
stuff.
I
Thank
love
you.
this stuff.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you had mentioned that you were working out prior to the surgery, but have you continued that? Do you still work out? Do you have any specific diet plans that you follow?
I'll be honest with you. I don't do any of that.
Really?
Yeah, I've gone to the gym maybe 5, 6 times in the past 2 years.
Wow.
I work in 2 different ERs, and I just started the second ER just this past month. But I get anywhere between 15 to 18, sometimes 20,000 steps a day. I'm active. I'm on my feet. Even when I have a day off, I'm trying to stay active and go on walks. I just do a lot of walking. So I feel like my cardio is really solid. I can walk all day. We went to Cedar Point and I did like 26,000 steps and like loved it, and it's like miles. I'm walking miles a day.
Tell you what, 26,000 steps is no joke, because I did a step challenge
Yeah.
for work a couple years ago, and I bought a Fitbit that had a strap that I would put around my ankle.
Yeah.
So it was as accurate as it could possibly be.
Yeah.
And I would walk all day at work. I work on an assembly line.
Okay.
So I'd walk all day at work, and then I would come home and I would walk around our pool table while I'm working out. In between sets, I would just do laps.
Do laps.
And it was hard to get 30,000 steps.
It is. Yeah.
Extremely hard.
That one day at Cedar Point, I think the first day I got 22,000 steps, and the second day I got 26,000 steps. And yeah, I'm tired. And my body's not used to that. I couldn't, prior to having bariatric surgery, when I was at my highest weight, I had to, we went to Frankenmuth and went to Bronner's, and we had to rent a wheelchair for my wife to push me around in.
Wow.
I couldn't walk. I had 4 herniated discs in my back. My legs had a edema, and they were swollen really bad. My feet were swollen. I had a cane, like a walking stick, and I couldn't walk. I couldn't stand for more than 5 to 10 minutes, probably just standing. I couldn't. I had to sleep in a recliner for about 3 years. I couldn't lay down flat in a bed. So I slept in a recliner, and I hardly ever moved. And then, yeah, that all changed. And now
I know you
getting
mentioned
steps
your
and
mental health is the number one thing that
yeah.
got you to that point, but shedding that weight, wouldn't it play a positive factor in your mental health, in the way you feel?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the way you talk to yourself. If you're still saying if you're still listening to the old guy, if you're still thinking that you're worthless or that you're not mounting up or you're not doing enough for your family or you're not providing enough or you're not you could really wear yourself down. And so it's like I look in the mirror and I see a completely different person in front of me, but my mind is saying, well, you took the easy way out. You didn't really do the hard work. You don't even go to the gym. You're look at your loose skin. Like that's nobody wants to see that. You need to put a shirt on. And it's like it's the way that we talk to ourselves that is so detrimental and so hurtful because we are our own worst critics and we're going to be harder on ourselves than anybody else. There are things about you that you probably don't like about yourself, and I'm going to look at you and I'm going to be like, bro, I don't. What are you talking about? You know what I
Right,
mean? Like
right.
I think that's a great thing. You think that's a horrible, and so getting out of your own head and separating the truth from the feeling,
Getting out of your own way.
getting out of your own way and seeing what the facts are, facts versus feeling, truth versus feeling, right? I have accomplished a lot in a short amount of time. I'm doing things that I've never thought I'd do. I've won a few awards, and and I'm here with you sharing my story. And because I made a choice to do something different with my life. And if you're not happy with your life, then change it. Do something different. What you're doing isn't working, and by definition, that's insanity. And so the mindset is really everything. And I'm not there. I'm not 100% there yet. I don't even know if I'm 50% there yet. This is all so new to me. Even right now, this is a bit of an out of body experience. Just talking to you about this and being in this sort of setting is like this is so new to me.
Yeah.
I don't believe it. And then the lies come in, and it's you just gotta learn how to deal with that. And I'm in therapy. I do have a therapist, and I'm not ashamed of that. I think mental health is key. You have to have a good therapist, a good support group, and you got to be nice to yourself. You got to be kind to yourself. You got to love yourself to death. Is kind of my
Mhm.
slogan, my new clothing line that I dropped.
You have a clothing line? I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
yeah.
Cool.
Love yourself to death.
I want to pull up pictures
Sure.
of the transformation. Let me, screen share real quick. And, for anybody who's interested, you can also check it out on his Instagram. Alright.
That's my beautiful wife.
Oh, yep.
Yep. Yeah. That's my wife and I went out on a date, and I remember I almost broke that chair.
Wow.
Um, just trying to we're at PF Chang's, and I love PF Chang's, and then going from that to yeah,
Wow.
to that.
You're completely unrecognizable.
Yeah.
That's during the journey, right? Your
Yeah,
face
that's
looks smaller there.
that's in the process. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So the picture, oh yeah, this is something that I probably couldn't have been able to do. My kids, this is how you get into a car. And this is how my kids get into a car.
It's funny because
You
you
just
don't even really think about that. Like, I don't.
but the fact that I could move around like that, I think was really cool. And I don't that's my dog.
Hey, that's my son's name.
Cool.
Is that all of them?
Um, i I mean, there's a good shot right there, the Valentine's, you know, I'm close to my wife there, so you can kinda see the scale. My right bicep is, just about, bigger than her arm or her head. Um, and this is when I started losing some weight. We went to the zoo. I was starting to look a little bit better and feeling better.
Wow. What does she think about this?
Yeah, no, she's excited. She's excited for me. She's got her husband back and some, I think. When we met, I was 225. I was always a thick guy. I played hockey, I played football, I played sports, I was active, and I was just always a bigger, solid kind of guy. Um, and then I got down to 167. So I was 3 pounds away from being able to say that I've lost 300 pounds on the scale. Um, and
She said, "Wifey here, very proud of him."
oh, thank you.
That's
Uh,
cool.
I got 3 pounds away from being able to officially say that I'm or 3 pounds away from being able to officially say that I'm 300 pounds down on the scale. And I just thought, I looked in the mirror and I just thought to myself, like, I'm way too thin. I was 167 and it did not look good on me. And I could have pushed and it just wasn't worth it because happiness meant more to me. And looking in the mirror, I was like, that's not healthy. That's not good.
How did you
I don't
get
look healthy.
to 160, 164 or whatever?
167. So yeah,
167.
164 would have been my, where I was supposed to be with my BMI. That's where the
Yeah.
doctor wanted me. And then I was like, no, I don't like
BMI
this.
is such crap though,
It
because
is.
you could be jacked and then be considered overweight.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, BMI is a crock. I hate BMI. And so right now I weighed in this morning at 183. I was at 186 as of the new year. So I've dropped a couple pounds. Holiday eating,
It gets the best of you.
but I enjoyed myself. I'm not like, I'm not killing myself. I ate all the foods that I wanted to eat and I gained a little bit of weight. Like I've got the tool. I know how to lose it. I'm going to lose it. I'm going to get back to work and I'm going to get my steps in. I'm going to cut my portions. I know what to do and I'm doing it. And so I've lost 3 pounds in the past week,
Mhm.
because I know how to do it. I know how to use my tool. And so that's,
What is the success rate for people who have the surgery? Do you know?
That's a good question. I don't know. And I hear a lot of people say like, "Oh, it didn't work for me. It didn't work for me. It didn't work for me." And that, and you can get a revision. If it doesn't work for you, you can get a revision. I know somebody a guy that I absolutely idolize. He's my hero. A great guy. I just met him in September. And he just had a revision. And it doesn't
What's a revision?
it's like having the surgery just over again and
Okay.
just trying it again. And you might have been able to um kind of eat around the stomach, I guess, or
How does that work?
you can stretch your stomach out.
Okay.
Um, which is why they want you to go on like a liquid diet before your surgery because they want to shrink it up so that when you go to cut it, so they removed about 80 to 85% of my stomach
Ooh.
and they pulled it out. 5 incisions in my stomach and the scars are gone. 2 years later, 2.5 years later. And one of the incisions you can still kind of see because it's the big one, and that's the one that they pulled that's that piece out. Um, but then sometimes you can take that little bit of stomach that you have, that 20-ish%, and it can stretch back out because it's a stomach and it can stretch. Um,
So what do they do in that case? Do they remove part of it
I
still?
think they still go for another part. Yeah,
Whoa.
yeah, they go for another part. I'm not entirely sure, but that's
So it's
always
like a
been my
balloon
understanding.
essentially.
Yeah, yeah, the stomach is. I mean, you can eat and eat and eat and eat and eat, until it explodes. It's kind of gross, but
That
you
is
know what I
gross.
mean? You can
So how do you know what to eat and how do you manage that? Do you stop when you're full? Like what is that like?
not always. I don't always stop when I'm full, and we joke around in the community and don't take that last bite. Don't take that last bite. If you eat more than your stomach can handle, you go into what's called dumping syndrome. And essentially it makes you feel like you're ill, like you're sick, you're going to throw up. It's very uncomfortable. I remember the first time I dumped, I didn't really know a whole lot about dumping. I ate some cookies. Sugar can make you dump really quick and really easy. I had some break and bake cookies. I had a couple pieces of the cookie dough. And then after the cookies were baked, I had a couple more cookies. And then all of a sudden it hits. And it takes about 10 minutes or so to hit. But when it hits, it's like, oh my God, the room is spinning. I feel out of breath. And you feel very uncomfortable.
Oof.
And so that's typically what happens when you eat too much. And so you want to stop right before that last bite and you want to have that self control to stop. And then as far as what to eat, because our stomachs are so small, our bodies are absorbing the nutrients that it needs. Sometimes quicker, sometimes slower. It depends. So I always say every body is different. So it just depends. I'm learning to learn. I'm learning how to learn my body every day and what works best for me. And so far, I've learned that I can handle proteins pretty well, but I'm gonna have to counteract it with some fiber. I'm definitely gonna need some fiber. If I eat X amount of protein a
Mhm.
day, I know I'm gonna need some fiber to follow and a lot of water. But that's why we have a hard time, like, when you have bariatric surgery, you have a hard time gaining muscle because the proteins are absorbed differently. We got to take a lot of vitamins. I've got a slew of vitamins that I take.
What kind of vitamins do you
No, I
take?
well, I use ProCare vitamins. It's a bariatric vitamin company,
Okay.
and so they're one of the companies that I'm partnered with, and so they send some vitamins my way, and then I make some little commercials and stuff like that
Oh,
with
cool.
the podcast with Rob and Shay.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and so it's like a multivitamin. I take like an acid reflux medicine because my stomach is small, and sometimes I got to keep the things down. And so it's a vitamin thing. And then I've learned that carbs, pastas, rice, those don't work well for me. If I eat those consistently for a couple days, I'm gonna see a huge number change on that scale, and and it's not good. And I don't feel good. Like after I eat, if I eat like before I came, I had half a burger. And I like to try to use not a white bun, like a protein bun, because they make protein buns, wheat buns, a fiber bun, something
Mhm.
like that. Because I know if I eat the white bread, it's not going to end well for me. Carbs don't agree with me.
Do you find that eating certain foods, make you wanna eat more food or more of what you crave?
Sometimes, I mean, typically with ice cream, yes. Ice cream and pizza, man. I just can't. I can't. Like, cottage in, barbecue chicken pizza. I could eat that stuff all day, every day. Ice cream. I love ice cream. Um,
Somebody said, "I may be biased, but the best part of his story is what he does for the Lansing community now that he's lost the weight."
oh,
What do you do for the Lansing community?
that's my wife. I do some stuff. We've had a lot going on. With the Lansing community, so the West Side neighborhood, and this is a total transition. If you've got more questions about weight loss stuff,
I'm just
now's
interested
the
in it
time.
because 'cause I'm a health nut, so
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I see your picture of you running a marathon.
Yep, yep.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
That's
That was in August. That was actually my first marathon ever.
no kidding.
I ran an ultra, but I didn't finish it,
Okay.
but that was the first official marathon.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Rob, my co-host, he does triathlons, and I think I could do the bike. I think I could do the swimming.
Yeah.
I am not a runner. I've never been a runner. I like the idea of running. I would love to run. With my loose skin, it's hard to run. It hurts. It's a little
Mm.
painful.
Well,
Um,
that's what I wanted to know too about the diet thing
yeah,
before we move on, but,
yeah. We could talk
with
about the Lansing community in a bit because I do love my Lansing community, and I want to share some stuff. But yeah, we'll keep
so
going.
whenever I start running, like, for instance, right now I'm doing I was pretty much doing a carnivore diet.
Okay.
But when I run, I change my diet. I can just change it. It doesn't really affect me. I change it based on what I need. Like I start eating more carbs and a lot more chicken and eggs and all that stuff. Um, can you change your diet like that at all? Can you have like a fluid diet?
I could have a fluid diet. Yeah. I mean,
Not fluid as in like
oh,
liquid, but
yeah. Right now. I'm having a fluid diet. Um, no. I unfortunately, I feel like that's the one thing that is going to be stuck with me for life. I say unfortunately, but it's pretty cool because you learn new ways and new foods and you experiment, and that's something that I don't mind doing. My wife and my kids don't eat what I eat. Typically, I make the weirdest stuff, and my wife could probably attest to that. And I'll be like, "You want me to make you one of these like omelets?" And she's like, "No, that looks disgusting." But I don't mind experimenting with different foods. I eat a lot of eggs. I like I know protein is what I need, and it helps me. And it's like I don't want to change anything. I know it helps.
yeah.
I know it's healthy. I know it's what my body needs.
Do they give
Um,
you access to like a nutritionist or dietitian?
so we before we have the surgery, we have a dietitian. After the surgery, some people do hire on dietitians or their office provides them a dietitian for X amount of time. And I think I might be able to. I do have a dietitian, and if I needed to ask her a question, I could probably reach out to her, and she'd probably answer through bariatric, Sparrow Bariatric. Um, I feel like I've never really needed it. And then especially with the podcast, like I know a lot of dietitians now. So if I have a question, I just ask them. But yeah, if it's something that you need, there's definitely help out there. Don't try to do it on your own. I feel like I'm comfortable doing these things on my own, so I do them. Are there some things that I might be doing wrong or right? Who's to say? It's
Right.
working. It's working for me.
Right.
Obviously,
Yeah.
I must be doing something right. So I'm
Right.
going to keep doing what I'm doing.
And you feel good.
And I feel good, and I still love eggs. And when I stop liking eggs, maybe I'll switch to something else. But for some reason, 2 years straight of eggs for breakfast, I'm cool with it. I don't know why. I still love it. I found different ways to do it, and it's still cool.
I could eat the same thing every single day. Actually, I do for the most part eat the same thing every day for breakfast and lunch. I'll
Yeah.
eat the same thing. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah, consistency I think is key. With lots of diets.
Yeah.
If it's not going to be what you're eating, it's how much of it you're eating or how often you're eating it. I'm supposed to have 6 to 7 meals a day, and I think most people are. Right?
Mhm.
I think if you talk to some dietitians, they say you're supposed to be eating 6 or 7 times a day, and I have to because my tummy's so tiny. It absorbs what it needs, and then I'm done. And within 2 3 hours, I'm hungry again, and so I've got to eat. I'm eating less more frequently, and I feel like I've adjusted to that lifestyle just fine. It's when I go outside of those lines and I eat things that I'm not supposed to eat
Yeah.
that I can really tell the difference, or eating a new food and I'm like, ooh, that didn't work. But like spicy stuff, I can eat spicy stuff now.
Mm.
I never used to be able to. It would upset my stomach. I'd be in the bathroom right away. Now I can eat spicy stuff.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow.
I love it.
Well, that's one of the best things to love. I
Yeah.
love spicy food.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Your wife said you guys should do it. You guys should train together. Murph wants
Oh
to do
yeah.
an Ironman or something.
I would love to do an Ironman, some sort of triathlon or something. I did a warrior dash, God, 10, 11 years ago, probably
Oh
down
my
in
gosh.
Ohio. I did a warrior dash, and that was one of the reasons I lost. So I saw a video, um, I think it was on YouTube, and at this time I was only maybe 364, and this was at my highest weight, 10, 12 years ago. And I'd seen this video for the Tough Mudder and the Warrior Dash and stuff like that. And this little voice in my head, like you will never be able to do that. It's like, oh, screw you, man. I'm doing it. And so I lost like 80 something pounds, and
Wow.
I was able to do this mud run, and I loved it. It was fantastic. But then I got divorced, and then I got depressed, and then I got sad, and then I lost some weight again, and then I met my wife, and then my aunt passed away, and then I gained more weight, and it's like this constant roller coaster, and this diet and exercise thing. Nothing was consistent in my life, and people are going to be passing away, and so I was like, that's to go back to that, what we were talking about earlier. That's why I wanted to get this surgery, because I wanted to remove that stomach, or that portion of my stomach once and for all, and just live my life. And then, as these things come, at least I know I've got to fall back. I'm not going to, go back to that. So I'd love to do an Ironman or something like that.
Now, when you start doing something like that, when you start training for like an Ironman or whatever, will you have to adjust your intake on things because like your body will require a lot more nutrients?
Right. So I would probably hit the gym. I would probably do a lot um, more cardio. I'd probably do a lot more lifting. So my protein would probably have to be my protein intake would have to be a lot more significant. And yeah, I totally yeah, I would definitely have to train just the same way that you probably do for any sort of um anytime you're exerting yourself, you need to replenish. You need to
Mhm.
and so training for something like that, yeah, I would have to do the same things that you do.
Okay.
Um, but maybe more protein. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I haven't done that yet. Like I said, I've hit the gym maybe 5 6 times in the past couple of years. I just do a lot of walking and a lot of water, and I still just watch my portions. And It's working.
That's awesome.
So
That's
I'd like to
awesome.
hit the gym though. I want to bulk up. I want to try to fill in. I've got some loose skin. I want to fill it in. I was approved for skin removal surgery, but I want to see what I can fill in first and bulk up, and then see if there's skin to have removed after I get to the place where my next goal, where I'm going to be comfortable. I don't know what that looks like though. I
Yeah.
don't know how much weight I'm going to have to gain or how big I want to get, or, I don't know anything like that. I'm just kind
Right.
of enjoying, I'm living in the moment and enjoying it, but maybe 2024 is my year. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's too soon to tell. I'll let you know. I'll let you know. I'll come back for a part two.
I love it. Now you do a bunch of things in the community. What kind of things do you do?
So yeah, one of the things that we've done this past year, and it really came from necessity. Um, it wasn't really me or our family saying like, let's do this fun thing for the community. We had a shooting in our neighborhood. We've had a couple of shootings in the past couple of years in our neighborhood. Unfortunately, one was a double homicide, and another,
Oh.
fortunately, nobody was injured, but it was a lot of gunshots, a lot of gunfire, a lot of just senseless violence. The first situation was more um, isolated. It was a family thing, and this other one was more of like a gang thing. And it was,
Mm.
but and fortunately, like I said, nobody was injured or anything like that. But it was just like, I'm pissed. I'm done. Like this community is a good community. I live in the West Side neighborhood. It's a good community, good families, lots of kids, lots of just really good people, who would give you the shirt off their backs. And we've had our bikes stolen out of our carport. We've had, um, just people take advantage of people, and it's sad. But anyways, we thought about, we need to move. We need to just get out of here. We need to leave this neighborhood. And then, we thought, no, let's kind of retaliate a little bit, and then let's kill them with
Mhm.
kindness. And so, um, I had this idea, I guess, and I told my wife we should have like a block party. We should raise awareness for gun violence in our community, and our bounce house actually for our kids was in our front yard, and it got shot. One of the bullets came right, yeah, too
Oh
close,
my
right?
gosh.
And shot our kids' bounce house. And so that's why I was pissed essentially. And so I reached out to anybody and everybody that would listen. And I was like, we're gonna throw a block party. I got a block party permit. We blocked off our street. And we had bounce houses donated, the big ones, like the big slides and the big bounce houses. And these companies came out and they donated the bounce houses. We had food donated. We had music. We had dance troops come out. We had a stage donated. Metro Malik, who was on the show,
Mhm.
he came out and he brought all of his DJ equipment and he DJ'd, MC'd the whole thing for us. The mayor came out and spoke at the event. We had Maya Manuel, the MSU shooting student activist, who spoke at the Capitol. She came out and spoke about it. We had different organizations, the Mikey 23 Foundation. Michael came out, he spoke at it, and the proceeds went to his foundation. And we just raised, we had hot dogs, we had
His
pizza.
son died of gun violence, right?
Correct. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I still need to have him on the podcast.
He's a great guy, great guy. And so we wanted to bless him and what he does. And I'll shoot him a little plug here because he's awesome. What he does, he takes kids off the streets, and his idea is to, instead of putting a gun in the kid's hand, put a hammer in their hand and teach them a skill. So he takes these kids off the streets and teaches them how to fix up houses and hang windows and siding and do all this stuff in the community and teach them a skill. And he buys their tools for them and
Wow.
gives them a tool set and sets them on their way. And so he's got a great foundation. So the food was free, but if you wanted to make a donation for a slice of pizza or a hot dog or whatever it was, we had buckets everywhere and you could just make a donation. And we raised a little over $1,000 in just like 3-4 hours,
Wow.
and gave it to Mike. And so, and it brought the community together, in a way where like, we're not victims, we're survivors. We live in this community, but we're not of this mindset. We're a good community, we have good people, and we wanted to get the police department and the fire department to come out, and they did. After I spoke to the mayor and said, I was told there were going to be police here and fire here, and I don't see any. And he got on his phone real quick. And sure enough, all these cops showed up and the fire department showed up, and the kids are playing on the fire trucks and the cop cars and stuff. And we had, we just wanted to shine a spotlight on this little corner where things had not been great for the past couple of years for the community, and show people that there's good people here and they're worth protecting, and they're worth your time and your effort and your investigations, and and doing stuff about these homes where people are living and they're not a part of this community. They're
Right.
taking from this community. And
Right.
so we did that. That was that was last year in the summer. I think it was
That was last summer.
August 5th. It was the day
Wow.
after my birthday. August 5th, we did that. And then I don't know what else she's thinking. Oh, we did. Yeah. I had this idea. I've always wanted to be a tree farmer, like a Christmas tree farmer, right? Like not the Hallmark movie kind, but just like, I just thought it'd be cool to have. I love Christmas. And so I had this idea one night driving, and I said, what if we see if anybody's got any like fake Christmas trees that they want to pitch or get rid of or donate, and we can find a new home for them and like repurpose them, maybe fix them up, put a new strand of lights on them or something like that, and help out somebody that can't buy a tree, because these trees are expensive, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they're like $200-300 for a nice tree. So we had this idea, posted on Facebook. We got like over 30 something trees given to us.
Oh my gosh.
And our carport was just stacked with trees, and people were dropping off ornaments and tree toppers and lights. I mean, I couldn't believe it. In 2 weeks, all this stuff was just like dropped off at our house. And so we had a free artificial Christmas tree giveaway to our community. And we actually had to turn people away. It was really sad. We tried getting some phone numbers and getting some contacts because people were still dropping trees off. And we had a good time. We had hot chocolate, and we put a movie up on the projector screen outside, and had music going, and we're giving out cookies and chocolate milk, and it was a lot of fun. And we got to bless a lot of people. And so it was awesome.
I thought this was a hater for a minute. I'm like, who's commenting on?
She's a hater.
That's hilarious.
She
said he's a psycho, comes up with the most random ideas, huge neighborhood Halloween parties and summer parties. Now he's able to I have terrible vision.
That's okay.
Now that he's able to, he just wants to give back to the community. Annoying, but awesome.
Yeah.
Well, now you have the energy to do it, right?
I know I'll never make up for lost time, and I'm not trying to, but it's like somebody's got to do it. Nobody's stepping up, and like I'm capable and I can do it. So I'm going to do it. And so, yeah, I have these ideas. I'm running past her, and she's like, that's okay. Let's do it. And so, yeah. And thank you, babe, for, she always supports it. She, even with the block party thing, it blew up. It was supposed to just be like, have some neighbors over, and it turned into like the mayor is coming at 1:30, and we got to have a stage. And it was kind of crazy.
You get that from your dad's side.
My mom.
I think it's important to do things in your community, whether it's your immediate community that you live within, your neighborhood, or even bigger. It's important to do something.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah. I mean, you got to give back to the community. I mean, I don't know, like, we're living there. We're not squatting. You know what I mean? Like, we're there. Right. We're a fixture in the community, as are you. Let's pool our resources and let's make this community great. Like, let's,
That was before I started doing this podcast. I was not a part of the community whatsoever. Like, I lived here, but I just lived in Lansing. Like, it was just Lansing. Yeah. And then as I started interviewing people, I slowly started being integrated into the community and became like, now I'm like a part of, like, I feel like the podcast is like a fixture of the community. Yeah. And so it's so cool to actually be a part of it, and to, by doing something like this, give back. Yeah. Essentially. Absolutely.
And I love what you're doing. And you're bringing on people that have really interesting stories from different walks of life. And, to me, that's like super important. And that's what we kind of wanted our podcast to start off as, was, people just sharing their stories. Right. And it's turned into, something different now, but we're still trying to help the community, and it's about the bariatric community.
Well, everything evolves. But you always start with an idea, and then it evolves.
Yeah. But the power of the story, what you're doing here, I really appreciate, because everybody gets to come on and share their story. And you never know who's listening, who's watching, who's going to watch it later. My story might not resonate with you, but it might resonate with you. You know,
Right,
it's like,
right.
and if I can share my story, and this is something that I share on my Instagram channel all the time, the reason I started sharing my story was to help one person. And I feel like if my story can help at least one person, then yeah, I'm happy. Like that's all I want to do is just help one person who might be at the end of their rope, or they might, I saw Rob and I was like, wow, that guy is just like me. He gets me. He
Mhm.
gets it. And there's this understanding and there's this, camaraderie that comes out of that. And this, we're able to iron sharpens iron and we're working off each other now and we're
Yep.
bouncing ideas back and forth. And that's community. That's loving on your neighbor, when Jesus was asked, and I don't mean to start preaching,
Oh, you're good.
when he was asked, what is the most important of the 10 commandments? He said, love your neighbor and love God. And that's it. Like he said, forget about the 10 commandments, not, in so many words, but he said, love your neighbor. Like that's the most important thing that you could possibly do. And that's what I want to do. And I just want to love on my neighbors, love on my friends and share my story. And if somebody can relate to it, then I'm going to love on them a little extra, I guess, because I can relate to it, and it makes more sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, your story resonates with me. Been that I've never been that big, and I've never. I mean, I would say I have an eating disorder for
Sure.
sure. I
Sure.
mean, I overindulge all the time, and if I eat bad, then I tend to eat even more bad.
Yeah.
Um, it's just, but I have the wherewithal to know when to stop. Like I know that okay, I know where this is going. I need to stop and just start eating healthy again. So I do.
Yeah.
And then I start exercising even harder, whatever. So I've never been like that overweight, even though I have been at times
Yeah.
severely overweight.
Yeah.
For me. But so that resonates with me. Your story resonates with me because I've never been that big, but I don't want to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And at the end of the day, and I'll with the hat that I'm wearing, the whole love yourself to death logo that I came up with, it's about living a happy life. It's not about the BMI scale. It's not about your pant size. It's not about how much food you ate or didn't eat, or it's not about your dress size or how many miles you walk a day. It's not about any of those numbers. It's about being happy and loving yourself to the day that you die and how much time you get to spend on this planet with your loved ones in a healthy body. That's really ultimately what this whole life is about, is being around as long as you possibly can and being happy while you're here.
Right.
And when my aunt passed away, she was 46. That's the only number I know. I don't know how much she weighed. I don't know her BMI. I don't know what dress size she was wearing. You know what I mean? I don't even know how much she ate, or how many ounces of water she drank, how many steps she could. I didn't know anything. I know she was 46. She only lived with us for 40. We only got 46 years out of her. Like we only got to spend that quality time for 46 years, and that wasn't enough. And that's why it hurt so bad, because she was so awesome, and we wanted another 46. Like that was
Right.
just that was like the beginning, and we wanted more, and we didn't get more, and that hurts so bad. And so life should be about making healthy choices for yourself. And when you're making healthy choices for yourself, then you're able to love others more, because you're loving yourself. You got to love yourself first. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't, um, another analogy that I think we've all heard is like, when a plane is crashing, or the masks fall, the oxygen mask, right? You put yours on first before you help the person next to you. You have to be able to help yourself, make sure you're happy,
Yep.
make sure you're doing the right things to make yourself happy, so that you can pour into others and allow yourself to give from a place of happiness and love.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, this was awesome. Thanks for doing this podcast.
Thanks for having me. It's been an honor.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
really appreciate it, man.
And then you said you're dropping a new season of your podcast this week.
Wednesday night at 8:30 on Instagram. We're going to do non-scale victories, NSVs. And then at 9, we switch over to YouTube and Facebook, but I think we're going to stay on Instagram. We found a way that we might be able to stay on Instagram. So
this is your podcast.
The Waiting Table, Rob and Shay. Yeah, we are so behind on uploading. Look at that. March, yeah, March. Ignore that. Don't. we're so far behind.
So where's the best place for people to find this?
On YouTube.
On YouTube.
I would say go to YouTube. That's where the full, unedited episodes of us every Wednesday night at 9. And it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for doing this. Thanks for sharing your story. It's inspiring.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd love to have you back.
Yeah, I'd love to come back.
If you ever want to train for an Ironman, let me know.
Let's do it.
All right. All right. Thanks. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, guys.
All right.